Yes, you read the title right. You do not need to be an expert to build a personal brand that people actually want to follow. You don't need to be a coach, you don't need 10 years of experience, and honestly, you don't even need to know what you're good at yet. And if you don't believe me, let me prove it. Because by the end of this video, I'm going to show you 5 different ways to grow an audience, even if you have zero skill or expertise. And the best part is, the further we go down the list, the less you actually have to do. So if you're sitting there thinking, what do I even post about? Stay with me because I know one of these is going to click. Number 1, document your journey. This is where you give yourself a goal, a challenge, or even a little experiment. And then you document the entire process in real time of you trying to achieve it. You share what you did, what you're learning, what worked, what didn't, and what results you got in the end. Here's an example.
So I have 100 days to make $5,000 outside my 9 to 5, and this is day 1. Hi, I'm Jamie, a full-time working mom of 2, and I'm taking on what feels like a second full-time job so I can eventually quit mine and stop relying on one employer for all my income.
The reason this works so well is because our brains love open loops. When people come across this kind of content, they naturally want to know how the story ends. Will they reach their goal? Will this actually work? What happens next? And all these questions start running through their heads, and that's exactly why this style of content pulls in so many followers. People want to stay on track with the story, and it's almost like watching a Netflix show where each update is a new episode. And honestly, you can document just about anything, whether that's learning a new skill, starting a business, training for a marathon, saving your first 10,000, reading 100 books, growing a garden. The possibilities are pretty much endless. But I can already hear some of you thinking, I don't really want to share that much of my life, or that sounds like a lot of work. And if that's you, keep watching, because this next one gives you a way to build an audience without having to put your whole life online. Number 2, share your perspective. I don't know if it's just my feed, but I've been seeing this style of content everywhere lately. It's just regular people like you and me sitting in front of the camera and sharing an interesting perspective on something they've been thinking about. It's basically the Instagram version of a YouTube video essay, just much shorter.
What if your ambition was partly a trauma response? I've been thinking about this a lot because I don't think ambition is always this pure, shiny thing we make it out to be. Because I think a lot of us learned how to become impressive before we learned how to feel safe.
You're not really teaching people anything, you're just thinking out loud. Maybe it's your opinion on a trend. Maybe it's a belief you have that goes against the grain. Maybe it's a way of looking at something that most people haven't considered before. The content I see performing really well is usually either a controversial take or an idea that's phrased in such a fresh way that it makes people stop and think, I've never really heard it like that before. Because there's something I've realized. We all have thoughts running through our heads all day long. The only difference is some people start turning those thoughts into content. And once you start doing that, you realize you probably have way more to say than you thought. But let me give you an even easier option. There's actually another way to build a strong personal brand where you don't even have to come up with all the ideas yourself. Instead, you become the person who finds the interesting stuff and brings it to everyone else. And that brings me to number 3, become a curator. A lot of the pages you know and already follow got famous doing exactly this. I'll let you watch this example first before I elaborate more on what it means to be a curator.
These are the specific trends and items I think everyone should shop this week to look stylish. I keep talking about striped bags for summer. There are so many fantastic styles out there this
As you saw in that video and almost every other post on their page, they're not showcasing something that they created themselves. Instead, they're taking what's trending on the runway, what celebrities are wearing, what's gaining popularity, and then handpicking the best of it and curating it into bite-sized guides for their audience. Think about it. Most people don't want to spend hours figuring out what's worth reading, watching, or buying. They'd much rather follow someone who's already done the research, sorted through the noise, and picked out the best stuff for them. And that's exactly what a curator does. In a world where we're constantly overloaded with information, that's incredibly valuable. Another way to become a curator is by becoming a source of discovery. You'll see this a lot with interview-style creators. They're not the ones with all the answers. Instead, they're inviting experts onto their platform and asking thoughtful questions that their audience wants answered and can learn from. One example I can think of is the brand Upflip on Instagram. Their entire page is built around interviewing successful business owners and sharing their stories. And by doing this, their audience, who are also interested in starting their own businesses, can gain valuable insights and information.
Pancakes make over $80,000 a month and they don't even make them.
We don't bake pancakes. We sell the mix instead.
We started this whole thing with $12.17.
Well, then how did you market this?
This is the secret. Today, I'll show you how to start a business like this, what to do, what to watch out for, and the mistakes along the way that almost cost us everything.
Again, you can see that Upflip isn't talking about their own business or something that they personally built. Instead, they're bringing in people who have already done it and sharing their experiences, lessons, and tips with their audience. But there's something interesting happening in the background when you do this that most creators don't realize. When you're constantly sharing valuable information from smart or successful people, your audience can start to see you as someone who knows what you're talking about too. Even though you're not the expert yourself, you become associated with the experts and the valuable information that you're sharing. And there's actually a name for this. It's often referred to as borrowed authority or authority by association. And it can make you seem more knowledgeable and credible even when the information you're sharing isn't your own. So no, you don't always have to be the smartest person in the room. Sometimes your value comes from knowing where to find the smartest people and making their knowledge easier for everyone else to access. But if building your brand around other people's work isn't really your thing, this next option puts the creative control completely back in your hands. Number 4, become an entertainer. Here's something we all forget about social media. Most people aren't opening Instagram because they're desperate to learn something new. They're opening it because they want to feel something. They want to laugh, they want to be entertained, and they want to feel seen. They want to watch something and think, oh my goodness, that's literally me. And if you can constantly make people feel that way, you've built a connection that has nothing to do with authority and everything to do with likability. And likability is probably one of the most valuable currencies on the entire platform. So instead of trying to become an educator, maybe your role is simply to entertain. You could do this through funny skits, story times, comedic rants, or relatable observations about everyday life. And I've seen where this path can lead. Creators who started out making funny videos are now getting invited to events, hosting shows, collaborating with big brands, and even landing roles in movie and TV. Your personality is your intellectual property. Nobody else has your exact sense of humor, your delivery, or the way that you see the world. So don't underestimate its value. But what if you're not particularly funny either, and you're not good at curating things, and you don't have some huge transformation that you're documenting? Then honestly, this last one might be the easiest place for you to start, because you only need one thing, and that's curiosity. Number 5, become a conversation starter. Start paying attention to the things happening around you. What are people talking about? What have you noticed lately? What's confusing you? What's a question you've always wondered about? Start keeping a list of those questions and then turn them into Instagram posts. Here's an example.
Question for you. How do you know when a friendship is dead?
I'm asking because I've not really had steady friends my whole life.
In your post, you can share the moment that made you think about the question. Share your own thoughts, even if you're not completely sure yet. Then you can invite other people to share what they think in the comments. And that's really all you're doing. You're just starting a discussion. And conversations naturally generate engagement because people love sharing their opinions. You don't always have to be the person with the answers. Sometimes being the person who asks the right question is enough to build an audience. And if you watch this far, I'd recommend checking out either of these 2 videos next because they'll take you even further in your creator journey.